it is very doable. It's just hard work. And not everybody's ready for change. So a lot of times there's this cognitive dissonance that exists with what people say they want and then what their actions say they want. I want to be healthy and fit and lean and all these things, but then their actions tell a different story. That's really the process for changing it, is you rewrite the story that's no longer serving you, and then you just act as if that's already your current identity.
Welcome to the Hard Way podcast with Joe Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan Races. We're teaching you how to overcome your obstacles in your life the same way we teach our 10 million plus Spartans to overcome obstacles on the course, with insight from the smartest, most accomplished experts from every corner of the world. Get ready to elevate your life today.
Joe Sena here, CEO and founder of Spartan, along with host of the Hard Way podcast. I've got Mike Millner, super nutrition coach, on the line. This guy's going to tell us how to not eat the pizza. And I don't even know, are you going to tell us to eat more salad or more meat? Like, there's a big divide out there. Like, which way do you lean?
I'm going to be the boring, it depends person. I'm going to give you context to tell you when it's okay to eat the pizza, when you should lean towards the salad.
Where does a nutritionist come from? I know for me in the 70s, my mom found yoga, health and wellness. She got turned on to being vegan. Like, how did you stumble upon it?
I definitely would have never predicted this to be my career path. I was born in the early 80s. I remember being exposed to a lot of dieting in my childhood from my mom, my sister. I have two older sisters, but I remember my mom always counting points, and we were in the low fat everything, spray butter, all that stuff. And my oldest sister had a long struggle with anorexia, almost lost her life to an eating disorder. And I just remember seeing a lot of disordered behaviors when it came to body image, dieting, relationship with food in my family. And I kind of considered myself the lucky one because I was always an athlete growing up. I played every sport under the sun, was always on teams, was always active, and I could eat whatever I wanted. Didn't bother me. I had the fast metabolism. And when I went off to college, I had a lot of typical college kid habits. I was eating a lot of fried food, fast food. I was drinking a lot. And once I graduated and I was no longer in organized sports, I gained probably between 80 to 100 pounds in a matter of a year and a half. And it kind of lost myself, lost my identity. And then I found myself doing all the things that I thought I had avoided that I witnessed in my family dynamics. So started doing all the fad diets, crash dieting, trying to get the weight off as fast as I possibly could. And went through almost a decade of losing. I would lose like 80 to 100 pounds, and then I would gain back 50 or 60. And then I'd lose, 20 pounds and I'd gain back 40. And I repeated that cycle over and over again. And ultimately, I reached that kind of rock bottom, like enough is enough. I'm smart enough. I should be able to figure this out. And once I learned how to actually fuel my body appropriately and train the right way and do things that actually made me feel good, that weren't all, about restriction and deprivation, that was kind of the moment of, I want to teach other people how to avoid all this. So, my hope is it doesn't take somebody 10 plus years to figure it out like it did for me, that I can kind of condense the timeline for other individuals. And that was really the entry point. I started as a personal trainer and then recognized that most people at the gym, they were showing up consistently, they were getting their workouts in, but their bodies weren't changing. And anytime I talked to them, it was always about nutrition, what they were eating. That was always their biggest sticking point. So I kind of found my passion was more on the nutrition side, and then became a coach for another company, and then ultimately started my own business almost exactly 6 years ago.
It's not easy to eat well. I mean, I for whatever reason, all day today, I've been wanting a pizza, and everybody around me is protecting me, and they're like, don't do it. But like, I grew up in a house, even though my mom found that healthy eating pathway before it was cool, I grew up in a house where it was just like, eat more. And so my whole life revolves around food, as most people's do. So do you hypnotize them? Like, how could you possibly change a person and their relationship with food?
Yeah, I think the first thing, which is probably the hardest step, is awareness around some of those, the purpose of food, how it serves you. And we always think of it as just, well, it's food. It's just, it's survival, it's fuel, it's energy. But it actually goes a lot deeper than that. Food can be expression, it can be love, it can be how we show affection, it can be, it can be part of the identity. A lot of times when we have men that come through our program, it'll be like, oh, well, well, dad's like the garbage disposal, right? That's like the family joke. We send our leftovers down the table and dad finishes everything. But then they take that on like a badge of honor. That's how they're known. That's the identity in the family. Or it can be, you're from an Italian family and that's how your mom or your grandmother showed affection. It was, hey, I made you this incredible meal and it's, 5 courses and I expect you to finish your plate. And that just became the family dynamic. So the first step is understanding some of those dynamics of like, what is food to you? How does it show up in your life? How does it relate to your identity or your beliefs? And we oftentimes have a hard time bringing that stuff to the surface, but that's really where the actual change happens. There's been so much research on, and a lot of books written on habits and rituals and routines, and you got to change your behaviors and your habits. But really the real change actually starts with your beliefs and your identity. And then your beliefs and your identity then dictate the habits and the rituals and routines. So we often miss that first critical step. We try to jump right to, all right, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days per week. I'm going to eat only clean foods. I'm going to cut out the pizza. I'm going to cut out the carbs. And then we wonder why we self-sabotage. It's because you never addressed the underlying belief and the identity piece that was, making you gravitate towards those eating habits and behaviors. So the first thing is, let's bring that stuff to the surface. Let's create awareness around like the family dynamic and your relationship with food. Once we have awareness, then we can actually start to work through the process of change.
So this will be the most unique podcast ever. Let's change me right now. I'll give you my background. You ready? So I'm Italian. I grew up around that love and affection and sauce being made at my grandmother's house and the meatballs and my grandfather and my father, everybody, eat more, you got to get bigger. And so I remember eating those meals as a kid, having to like unbutton my pants. My stomach was so full. To the point where, I definitely have an allergy to gluten, probably because of all the gluten I ate as a kid. Forget about the issues with wheat these days and the way we procure our food. But like, I love food. Yeah. How do I fix it? I love working out, by the way. Love it. I love working out partially because I get to eat more.
So the relationship with food side, where does that impact you, or where do you feel like it's a perceived problem or roadblock in your life?
Well, I feel best and most in tune when I eat less. Okay. Like if I don't eat until noon in the morning, I'm on fire in a good way. I feel great. I've got my workout done or no food. I don't have to eat, but I love food. I want food. I want to eat, and then when I eat, like most of us, your energy levels go down. Maybe you're annoyed at the thing you ate because it wasn't optimal. If I eat my cucumber salad, I'm happy as can be. It's clean. It might be more psychological. I doubt it, right? Kind of like cleaning your car. Your car drives better after it's clean. I don't know, but if there's some Italian sausage there, I might slip and eat some.
What are the other foods that you kind of have that affection towards? You're like, man, I love to eat this type of food that you kind of
listen, I go back to the early days. I want eggplant parm. I want raviolis. I want all the stuff that I remember as a kid. That was my food. I've done an incredibly, incredibly great job at staying away from the big Italian heroes and all those things I ate, because those would really put you to sleep. But I loved them. Mozzarella, roasted peppers, but I gave all that up. That said, I slip. You go to dinner, somebody orders fried calamari. Like, I don't want it, but it's sitting there. Yeah. That's the other thing. I don't like to waste food. I don't know if that's a childhood thing or what. Like, I can't leave a bowl or a plate empty unless it's empty. I can't. I got to finish everything on the table.
Yeah. So the cool thing about all of these things is that there's some kind of story or belief tied into all of them, because with especially finish my plate, I have to finish my plate. It's a common one. Like, a lot of us grew up that way. It's like, what are you doing leaving that last bite? You have to finish everything. Otherwise it doesn't count, right? Like there was just the family dynamic. That's just the way it was. We don't, I don't know if your parents gave the line that mine did, which was like, there's people starving in, wherever. And so we don't leave food on our plate, but there's always that narrative that we have to, and a lot of this work is actually really tapping into subconscious thoughts. There's a lot of different practices that you can go through. But some of the stuff that I like to do with clients is we'll have them do some kind of speed journaling. One of the best ways to do speed journaling is through typing. If you're writing, your brain is working too quickly for your hand to keep up. But if you're typing and you don't worry about typos or edits or anything, you're just stream of conscious. And you just start with a simple prompt. The prompt could literally just be food. It could be, I can give you a prompt of just start typing whatever comes to your mind when you hear eggplant Parmesan. That's your weird prompt. And you just go and you're just typing as fast as your brain can keep up, or your hands can keep up with your brain. And you start to identify some of these subconscious thoughts that just pour out on the page. And then really what we're doing is we're trying to identify if those narratives and those stories are actually serving you, or if you want to rewrite them. And so that process is really how we bring the subconscious thoughts and the stories to the surface. Then the process for changing them is a little bit more difficult, because you're rewiring that circuitry that says, if I eat this, it's, quote unquote bad, or it's off limits. But we're rewriting the narrative that says, this is no longer serving me. This is no longer a part of the identity that I want to continue forward at this point in my life. So we have to start the new script and write the new narrative. And you have to embody it. So it's kind of, be it until you see it. It's instead of the fake it till you make it, it's be it until you see it. So you just kind of start to act as if that's already the narrative that you hold true. And it's a process, because you will have the moments where you're sitting there and the fried calamari is on the table and your subconscious kicks in and you're not even thinking. It's not even a conscious thought. It's just your hand goes, you grab it. Next thing you know, you're like, what the hell am I doing? I didn't even want that. So it does take time, but that's really the process for changing it. Is you rewrite the story that's no longer serving you. And then you just act as if that's already your current identity. So it's kind of like, the best analogy I can give, it's like a method actor versus a traditional actor. The method actor is playing the role no matter what, regardless of whether the director says action or cut. It doesn't make a difference. They're in that role. And the traditional actor is like what we do with the current nutrition and training system that we have. And diet industry says, all right, we're going to do this 30-day challenge. The director says action. Now you're playing the part, but at the end of the 30 days, he says cut. And now you're back to that previous version of yourself that wanted to change in the first place. That you have to really be the method actor that just is always in that role, no matter the circumstance.
I agree with that. You've got to act it out. You make a mistake or two along the way, you probably need to dust off and just reread the script, right? Or redo the lines. Have you seen a lot of success? Like what percentage of people can get rid of all those bad habits and rewrite their story?
It's not easy. I think a lot of nutrition coaches, trainers, health coaches, they want to talk about all the success stories, the before and afters, the transformation. But we are in an industry with an incredibly low success rate. I mean, the statistics are out there. 95% of people who lose weight will gain it back within a year. So we have a very low success rate, and it is very doable. It's just hard work, and not everybody's ready for change. So a lot of times there's this cognitive dissonance that exists with what people say they want and then what their actions say they want. I want to be healthy and fit and lean and all these things, but then their actions tell a different story. And the easier path is to change your words to match your actions. But a lot of people don't want to admit that. And they'll say, no, I really do want this thing. It's okay. Well, then are we going to do the work to change your actions to match your words? That's the harder path. So it is difficult. I think we have an amazing program. We see a lot of success. But there is a readiness there needs to be a readiness and a willingness to change. And a lot of times people come in under the pretense that it's just going to be a nutrition plan and a training program. And I don't let anybody into the program until I explain, no, we're doing the below the surface work so you can actually maintain this, because I'm not interested in you for the 27th time losing 50 pounds and gaining it back. I want this to be the last time that you have to lose weight. And so there is a high screening process. We go through a pretty extensive screening process to make sure that there's a willingness to change. With that, our results are better, but we still are nowhere near batting 1,000. And I don't think that'll ever be the case. But I think, we do pretty well in terms of comparatively to like industry standard, but it's never going to be good enough for me until we're perfect.
Yeah, as you're talking, I started thinking about, I know I have a lot of friends that help people give up drinking. for example, and you'd be a great compliment to people like that. Like, I think the great coaches, as you were talking, I was thinking the great coaches should come together, because it's more than just the food for some people, right? It's also, not everybody can get into the gym every day mentally. They just can't get there. It's easy for you and I'm like clockwork every morning. I got to get my sweat on. I got to get my workout done. My food slips here and there. I don't really like the taste of alcohol or coffee. Here's a crazy one for you. I found myself in the last year drinking coffee, even though I don't like the taste. I just don't like it. Yeah. But I see everybody has one. So like, I want to have one in my hand. You know what I mean? Like, so I've given that up too, because I was like, well, I don't even like it. I don't like the taste. It's terrible.
Could have been more of a, to feel like you're a part of something, fit in, that type of thing.
I think I don't fit in very well. If you were president, I know what I would do. Let's just play a game here. You were president. We looked at the size and shape of the individuals in our country, the fitness levels, the sickness, et cetera. What do you think you could do to change that? Let's just say somehow we focused inward and we stopped talking about the silly stuff and we focused on our own constituents. What do you think you could do to change the country? What would we do?
Man, that is, it's a massive overhaul, because if you were just to take different areas of where we rank and just grade it, where do we rank on our food system? We're failing. Where do we rank on education? We're failing. Where do we rank on activity levels and all that? We're failing. There's evidence around the world that we can look to. I know, Japan recently has done a lot with looking at childhood obesity and have basically figured it out. Now, there's a lot of things that they do that wouldn't necessarily be approved here, but you're giving me full ownership to change the system. I think it has to start. I think education is a good place to start, changing the food supply. And we're focused so much on shelf life and profit margins, and we get very lenient on certain chemicals and ingredients that don't fly in other countries. And I think that it's really, I would almost say we'd be better off burning it all down and building from scratch. And I think, changing the curriculum, changing what we're serving to kids in schools, changing, the education system around nutrition and fitness, and even something as basic that we probably would never look at, but the way that we conduct school and the way that we have our schooling system, to have kids sitting down for however long, hours at a time, and expecting them to just focus and learn and absorb and regurgitate information is completely impractical, in my opinion. I think, why aren't we doing, there's all this research that shows you start your day with some physical activity, you're going to be, you're going to absorb more information. It's easier to learn. Even people who take walks while they listen to audiobooks retain more information. Just why can't we do something that's more, let's get kids outside, let's get them moving, even if it's just to break up the day with little pockets of time. And that is a good starting point to get us moving more. We're so sedentary. We've moved into such a convenience lifestyle. So I really think that it would be a total, we need to blow it up and start completely over.
Yeah. And that's always tough to do. People don't like change. So here's a bonus question. So if you're a kid or you're a parent with kids and they don't like salad, they don't like vegetables, I hear it all the time. My philosophy as a parent was, well, then they don't eat. No problem. You'll get hungry eventually. You'll eat the broccoli. Do you have a plan or a system on how to short circuit that, how to fix that?
Yeah. So I had a good friend of mine who was also a coach, and he was a former elementary school teacher, and he would have this problem all the time. And he would have parents, once he transitioned from teaching kindergarten, then he went into nutrition coaching, and he had a lot of parents that would come to him with this exact problem. My kids don't eat broccoli, they don't eat vegetables. And he started asking those questions. How is it being presented? And oftentimes it was kind of, just you have to do this just because. And, kids want to understand. And what he would do is he would try to find a connection. What's like a book that they like, or a movie that they like, or a show that they like. And we start to make those connections, like the obvious example that a lot of people my age would remember is Popeye and his spinach. Popeye eats spinach and makes him strong. And that's actually similar to, I have 3 stepkids, and my wife and I, we're very, we're regimented. We eat well. We lift weights. We go to the gym. We never said anything to them about what they have to do or what they should do. We just talked about it from the reasons why we do things and how it makes us feel. So, we eat protein because it helps us build muscle and it helps us feel strong and it helps us lift heavier weights. And so we start saying stuff like we eat salad and vegetables because it helps us with more energy and we feel more focused and we can perform better. And naturally, they started asking questions of, can I go to the gym and how much protein should I be eating? And it just came about because of the way that we talked about it. And I think that's really the connection to make is, is there some kind of a tie-in to something that they already enjoy, whether it be, especially when they're younger. My stepkids are a little bit older now, so we can speak a little bit more directly about it. But when they're younger, especially, we want to try to find that tie-in, like the Popeye and spinach story, that helps them understand what it does for them more in a positive, it's more empowering. And I think rather than this is just something you have to do. Now, I think there is a certain degree of, for certain things we don't keep in the house and it's more of a special occasion. I like to take them out to ice cream every once in a while because it's a special occasion. We're not having ice cream every single night, but that's something that we can do as a family. That's an outside the house. We go out, we, can have that together because it's a treat. So it's there is a certain point of what you're saying, which is what's available is what's available. But I think that if you can try to find that connection to things that they relate to and resonate with, it makes it a lot easier for them to make the decision on their own. And we'd like to have that feeling of autonomy. Like, this is my choice. Like, if you ask my stepkids, they'll say, oh yeah, we just decided that we wanted to go to the gym on our own, but they obviously were influenced by the behaviors and the way that we were talking about it.
How do people find you?
Different Instagram podcasts. My Instagram handle is @coach_Mike_Millner. I have a podcast called Mind Over Macros. Talk a lot about nutrition, training, lifestyle, mindset, psychology, that type of stuff. I also wrote a book called The Personality Diet, which kind of explains some of the individual nuance involved when you're trying to figure out what might be the best path for you as an individual. It's available on Amazon. So those are all the best places. I do respond to all my messages on Instagram. So if anybody has questions, that's usually the best place to reach me.
Awesome. And you and all your followers, your students, they're all invited to a Spartan or Tough Mudder anywhere they want. It's on us. Just collect folks' names, emails, whatever. We'll make that happen. The other crazy one I'll throw out at you and the audience here is we have in Abu Dhabi at the end of November 29th, we have a big VIP event going on in the desert, all kinds of food. So it'd be kind of cool if you were there, keep everybody on track, but all kinds of food. We have a world championship going on at the same time. So there'll be 7,000 athletes running around in the desert. But, I spent 12 years trying to navigate the Middle East and make connections and, people that come in 12 minutes, you'll have access to the entire Middle East. I bring it up because they have an even worse problem with food, their relationship with it, obesity than we have, which is hard to believe. But if you wanted to come out, be a guest on us, no issue. You can bring out whoever you want. I think it could be good because I don't want to just help the U.S. I want to help humanity, right? I want to help them as do you. Get them lean, get them fit, get them feeling optimal. That's on us if you want to come. And you're awesome. Thanks for coming here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.